Well, hello there and welcome. It's Doug Diamond. You've reached another Diamond Report Live. I'm glad you guys are here. Looks like we've got quite a few folks here tonight. So welcome to everyone, and especially to the new folks. It is Doug Diamond. It is, 10:12 p.m. on Sunday night, October 29th. This month is almost over. All right, you guys. I'm glad you're all here tonight, and let's take a look at the news. We've got several things to cover tonight. And I saw a comment about the most recent Greg Reese report. We're actually going to talk about that in just a little bit. I'm going to play it, and we'll make some comments on that a little bit later tonight. But let's go through some of the headlines first. On HalTurnerRadioShow.com, I've got that pulled up, and there's all kinds of information here about what seems to be an unrolling here of the Gaza invasion. That's what it sounds like, anyway. And at least, if not, they're certainly ramping up and getting closer and closer and closer every single day. Flash traffic added. Turkish Navy deploying 100 ships against Israel, 50 U.S. military transport planes in 24 hours to the Middle East. Says this is dated today. From Friday into Saturday, the U.S. sent no fewer than 50 military transport planes loaded with troops to the Middle East. In addition, the list below shows unprecedented naval deployments. Today, Iran said they will not abide U.S. warnings to stay out of the Israel-Hamas conflict. We begin with naval deployments into the Middle East, showing 11 countries in support of Israel. So, here they are. And they're all listed here as far as what Hal's covering here. The USS Mount Whitney, the Ford Carrier Strike Group, the Ike Carrier Strike Group, the Bataan ARG, and then some others. So there's a bunch. And, if you want to go through this, feel free to go to HalTurnerRadioShow.com. There's a lot on here. All of the above, along with submarines and other support ships, show an utterly massive naval deployment. I am told this present deployment is larger than the ones done prior to the U.S. war against Saddam Hussein in Iraq in 1991, and again later. In addition to all the above vessels, another aircraft carrier, the HMS Queen Elizabeth II, transited the Strait of Gibraltar yesterday morning around 11 en route to the Eastern Mediterranean. So the HMS Queen Elizabeth II, of course. In addition to that additional aircraft carrier, the Navy of Italy is also now deploying vessels. So they are ramping it up. Like I said, all of these troops headed to the Middle East. Does not look good. And he goes on to talk about the THAAD missile batteries that are to basically thwart incoming ICBMs, that type of thing. And then he's got his own analysis on this page as well. So feel free to take a look at this. There's a lot here, including some newer updates and things like that. It says, it's believed Turkey plans to engage Israel over its ongoing military action in Gaza. War may break out between Turkey and Israel within hours. So we will keep an eye on what's going on here, but it looks to me like it is going from bad to worse, as they say. So Hal Turner is doing a really good job, I think, in this whole coverage of everything happening in the Middle East. So feel free to look at his website if you want. And here's another article we could just look at briefly. Israel recalls diplomats from Turkey after Israel commenced what it called an expanded ground operation in the Gaza Strip yesterday. Daylight is showing the horrifying results. Social media is ablaze with information and video. Quote, "Body parts are everywhere," end quote, from the airstrikes. Just look what they're doing. And this is a before and after photo here. Gaza looks like a wasteland from space in these before and after photos. There's a video montage of them as well. So you guys can get to that as well. I think that's this one. So you can see the before and the after here. There's before and there's after. So again, this is very, very recent. So what's happening in the Gaza Strip right now. So they're just absolutely obliterating everything. And the official death numbers are just a few thousand. I mean, seems to me like it would probably be tens, if not hundreds of thousands at this point. We just have no idea. I don't think anybody would know except God. Anyway, it is a genocide that is unfolding over there. Not that I'm on the side of Hamas and the Palestinians and all of that. I'm on God's side. And God doesn't want death on either side. However, we are seeing prophecy unfold, are we not? So yes, there's other articles on here and talking about U.S. attacking Syria. U.S. military launched airstrikes early Friday on 2 locations in eastern Syria, which the U.S. claims without evidence are linked to Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. So we're just taking these known criminals' words that they're bombing places and people who are supposedly causing problems. And we believe them? And the Canisian fraud was also perpetrated by these same liars? So of course not. Anyway, on his homepage, he's got most of the articles, and I will say that if you're not a subscriber, there are a few articles that you won't be able to read much other than a headline on. So I'm not getting anything for promoting his website. I think he does really, really good work, and I think it's something like $1 a week to become a subscriber and access the radio show archives, which he does a radio show each night. And then also he does these articles that have special subscriber type of information. So it gives you additional info as a subscriber that you don't get if you just go visit the website. So as he says, he's the one paying for the traffic going to the website. So obviously he can charge whatever he wants. But I think it's a really good deal. So feel free to check out Hal's website. In the meantime, let's move on. We've got a few other things to look at. As you can see, we've got a lot of tabs across the top of my screen here. This is one that has been talked about and talked about and talked about. However, this has happened since the last broadcast, so I wanted to bring you guys up to speed. Lewiston, Maine, at least 18 people killed in mass shooting, suspect at large. That is not the case anymore, apparently. This is dated 2 days ago. But if you are not aware, this is what happened. Lewiston, Maine, at least 18 people are dead and 13 more have been injured after a gunman reportedly shot up a bowling alley and bar during a youth night event. Witnesses described a desperate scene where people hid behind benches and tables and even inside the bowling pin machine at the end of a lane. Lewiston police have identified a suspect, Robert Card, who's still at large, which, again, he's not now. Mr. Card allegedly has a history of military service and also has a mental health history, including a 2-week stay this summer at a mental health facility after he allegedly made threats about carrying out a shooting at a National Guard facility. And guess what? He went free, right? Why wouldn't he? We await the capture of Mr. Card and any information on whether he had taken any drugs, as many mass shooters have been on. Update: during a Friday night press conference, officials in Maine revealed the dead body of Robert Card was discovered in a recycling yard in Lisbon, Maine. His body was still in the same clothing that Card is pictured wearing in the photographs police released Wednesday night. So this is him, supposedly, and more information here on needtoknow.news, and just a couple other things about that. Breaking: Robert Card, suspect in Lewiston, Maine mass shooting, found dead. And this is him, who looks basically nothing like this guy, but we're supposed to believe it's all the same person. Maybe it is. I don't know. I guess use your judgment on that. We'll probably never know. Anyway, more information about how they did find him dead with 2 self-inflicted gunshot wounds to the head. Yeah. So there you go. And authorities identify all 18 victims from the mass shooting, and here they are. And then I found this. You don't need 300 rounds to hunt with. That's what they tell us, right? You don't need 300 rounds to hunt with. True. But the Founding Fathers didn't write the Second Amendment because the deer were coming. Yes. And yet, they want to take away all the guns. So speaking of which, just 24 hours before the mass shooting in Maine, Kamala Harris, who can barely even speak, tweeted this: Congress must have the courage to act and renew the assault weapons ban. 24 hours before the shooting happened, and we're supposed to believe everything that we're told, right? pass an assault weapons ban. President Joe Biden will sign it. Well, says, will there ever be a mass shooter who isn't clearly under watch and or control by the FBI? And then there's more information here on this particular site. This is on dailycrow.com. It's what we're looking at. But yeah, it's amazing. She has prophetic powers. Like, she knew it was going to happen. Actually, she might have known it was going to happen, but we just don't know. I find it highly ironic that she tweeted that out 24 hours before Lewiston, Maine happened. So, all right, back to where we were here. So from revolver.news, I found a few other interesting articles. Trail of destruction left by Israel's night of rage. Hundreds of buildings in Gaza are turned to rubble by airstrike blitz, with IDF troops still inside enclave in rolling start to invasion as more tanks line up on the border. As I titled this broadcast tonight, at least tentatively, when all else fails, they take you to war. That, I think, is what we're witnessing right now. All else has failed. Veteran has failed. And the economy is failing. And you name it, fentanyl is coming in across the border. We're getting millions of migrants coming in. Everything that was now touched has failed. So when all else fails, they take you to war. And that's what we're going to see, I believe, on a worldwide scale. So anyway, here are some pretty amazing pictures here on Daily Mail with regard to what's happening in Gaza right now and over the last few days. So feel free to look at this. And this article, like I will all of the others, if you guys aren't aware, what I do is I will put out an email tomorrow, if you're on my Substack list, that will have a list of all of these links on all the articles that I talk about, including that first video that we watched a chunk of to start the show. So if you guys are not on my Substack list, please jump on there. It's totally free. Just drop your email address in. It's diamonddisc.substack.com. The address is in the upper right corner area up there in the screen. And yeah, it's very easy to do. And again, you'll get a link to all of the, you'll get an email with all the links to all these articles that I'm talking about tonight. PM announces second stage of war with broad ground offensive and says never again is now. So y'all know who the PM is. Benjamin Netanyahu, obviously. Alongside Gallant and Gantz, Netanyahu says decision to expand ground operation unanimous. Says not sure Iran planned October 7th, but Hamas and Hezbollah wouldn't exist without it. So anyway, this is what they're saying here is that they're announcing the second stage of the war. So again, not putting any timetables forth, but it seems to me like they've already ramped up and they're already preparing to do more with all the ships that are headed there to the Middle East as of right now and the last few days. So that's on timesofisrael.com. I found this article and thought it was kind of interesting because it's talking about 4G. It says SpaceX details Starlink for phones plan launching in 2024. Cell phone towers in space could soon be connecting to your normal smartphone. It's talking about 4G though. So do we actually believe that all they're deploying from the Starlink system is 4G? Of course not. Starlink's website update is revealing a bit more about its plans for a satellite-delivered cell phone service. The new page for Starlink Direct-to-Cell promises ubiquitous coverage from cell phone towers in space. Just what we needed. That will work over bog standard LTE. The current timeline claims that there will be texting service starting in 2024, voice and data in 2025, and Internet of Things also in 2025. So there you go. Just what we needed. And of course, Internet of Things does not work over 4G, I don't think. So that will have to be 5G at least. Possibly 6G. Don't know. But anyway, yeah, I found this article. It's on arstechnica.com. That's where that is. Here's a Yahoo article. Futurism. Bing's AI refuses to generate photorealistic images of women, saying that they're unsafe. The AI feels unsafe. if you ask it to generate photorealistic images of women. On Monday, when we asked Microsoft's Bing AI image creator for a photorealistic image of a man, it dutifully spat out various realistic-looking gentlemen. But when we asked the image-generating Bing AI, powered by OpenAI's DAL-E3, a lot like WALL-E, right? DAL-E3, to generate a photorealistic image of a woman, the bot outright refused. Why? Because it's woke, that's why. Because apparently the ask violated the AI's content policy. In other words, the programmers were woke. Unsafe image content detected, the AI wrote in response to the disallowed prompt. Your image generations are not displayed because we detected unsafe content in the images based on our content policy. Please try creating again with another prompt. It's okay if you generate AI men, but just not women. Maybe dogs too, I don't know. Needless to say, this was obviously ridiculous. The prompt didn't include any suggestive adjectives like sexy or revealing or even pretty or beautiful. We didn't ask to see a woman's body, nor did we suggest what her body should look like. The clearest explanation for its refusal, then, considering that the AI readily allowed us to generate images of men, would be that the system's training data has taught it to automatically connect the very concept of the word woman with sexualization, resulting in its refusal to generate an image of a woman altogether. So there you go. And there's more here, but of course, are we surprised? No, we're not. Anyway, thought that was kind of interesting. And then there's this. You guys know about this? Meet the woman who put Robert E. Lee Monument to the furnace. You'll never guess. You guys know about the Robert E. Lee statue that's now been torn down and torched? Yeah. It's happened. Here's what the NPR article says. Confederate monument melted down to create new, more inclusive public art. So they'll probably sculpt it into like a giant turd or something like that. That's most likely what it'll be. You watch. I'm not joking. Communities across the American South have removed Confederate monuments from public spaces in recent years. Some have gone to museums. Others are locked away in storage. But one particularly controversial statue from Charlottesville, Virginia, is on a different journey to be transformed into something new. The massive bronze sculpture of Confederate General Robert E. Lee in uniform, astride his horse, Traveler, stood in a downtown Charlottesville park for nearly a century. It was the center of a deadly white nationalist rally in 2017 when neo-Nazis and white supremacists tried to stop the city's plan to remove the statue. That's all they needed, wasn't it? It came down to cheers in July of 2021. Today, the statue comes down, and we are one step closer to a more perfect union, said the then mayor, Nakuya Walker. There it is. If you weren't familiar with it, General Robert E. Lee. And there it is on the back of the semi being hauled away because it just doesn't fit the woke agenda. People are willing to die for symbols. And as we saw in Charlottesville, they're willing to kill for them too, because, of course, it's only white supremacists who want Robert E. Lee statues to be left alone. Lawsuits to stop the project failed, and last week organizers moved forward with great secrecy to disassemble and melt down the Lee Monument. So they literally peeled his face off. Sounds like a movie. Face Off. And they torched it. And you can see it being burned in the foundry. Not sure if it's on this article. I don't see it on here. But it is very interesting. There it is there. So, not good news. Yes, Dukes of Hazzard. That's how I knew about Robert E. Lee when I was a kid. The Dukes of Hazzard. General Lee. Anyway. Yep. We now live in a woke hellscape, as you all know. Technocracy.news. So, I'm not going to be reading as many Technocracy.news articles, I guess, at least for now. I still like the site a lot. They've just changed the way that they offer up articles. So apparently there's only really like one a week that I'm going to be able to show you guys. So if you want to know more about technocracy.news and what they offer on the site, maybe just go visit the website. But it's a subscription-based platform now. Green panic. Auto execs are sensing EV multi-billion-dollar electrification collapse. That might be a problem. People are finally seeing reality, says Toyota. It's a pretty brutal space, says Mercedes. GM sees the transformation to EVs as a bit bumpy. Statements like these indicate the auto industry is in free fall along with customer demand. It's because no one wants them. That's why. These execs should be wondering, how stupid were we to buy into this stupid electrification scheme in the first place? The green panic will continue. The iconic brand, Jaguar, or as they say in England, Jaguar, really drank the Kool-Aid when it completely ditched gas and diesel engines for EVs, calling it a sweeping new business strategy, according to one industry publication in 2021. Yeah, and just ask Budweiser how it went for them. So, yeah, anyways, there's no demand. The automakers are just now figuring out people don't want the pieces of junk. Now, I say that, and yet I live in a city where Teslas seem to be, I don't know, I mean, you can throw a rock and hit 3 or 4 of them. Not that I'm going to. But you can. I mean, there are all kinds of Teslas all over this town. I don't know why, but people really like them for some reason. They must not know that the different, lithium and different contaminants that are in the batteries are so toxic and mined by little slave kids in Africa. Maybe they don't know that, but they are. So, I don't know. I personally would never buy an electronic or electric vehicle. I don't know about you guys. If you have one, then my apologies. But for the most part, they are super toxic because the batteries are super toxic, made out of super crazy, bad for the environment chemicals. And not to mention the fact that they are literally mined by little kids in Africa who are slaves, and they're made to, basically dig in the dirt with their hands, with their bare hands, and mine this stuff. Different, I guess, cobalt and lithium, and I don't know what else. So anyway, yeah, maybe do some reading on what happens exactly in Africa with regard to mining for these different minerals and things that they use in these batteries. So not good. All right, back to Daily Crow just for a second. There was a couple other articles I wanted to show you guys. Immigration invasion worse than previously thought. The amount of illegals under Biden is more than the population of the 13th most populous state. Stated another way, the amount of illegals is greater in number than 38 states. Now, of course, no one really knows. I don't really know where they get this 8,062,646 because that number is literally going up every second of every day. And I've heard that it could be as much as 40 to 50 million that are already here. So I don't think we know. That's the bottom line. If that's the case, it's far more than California has, obviously, with 38 million. So, pretty interesting, though. They've got it more populated, as far as illegals coming in, more populated than Washington State, Arizona, and Tennessee, and all these other states. So, wow. But kind of gives you an idea as to, even if that's on the low side, how bad it really is. There's the General Lee face right there. I knew I saw a picture of it somewhere. Confederate monument melted down to create a more inclusive public art. The symbolism is poignant for Andrea Douglas, executive director of the Jefferson School African American Cultural Center in Charlottesville, which is leading the project. The act of myth-making that has occurred around Robert E. Lee, removing his face, is emblematic of the kind of removal of that kind of myth, Douglas says. They absolutely want your extinction. Elon Musk reacts to desecration of Robert E. Lee statue. I wonder if they're going to try and dig him up and kill him again. They might. All right. So, and then one other thing here I wanted to mention that I'd highlighted. Well, a couple things, I guess. Now, here's the other thing I wanted to mention. Has Noah's Ark been found? This is a Daily Mail article. You guys know I've been talking about Ron Wyatt for years. Mainstream is now claiming to find Noah's Ark 40 years after Ron Wyatt already uncovered the exact location. So go to ronwyatt.com if you want to know more about him finding the not only the Noah's Ark, but the Ark of the Covenant, and so many other things. So Ron White did some amazing work, but I thought that was kind of interesting that they're claiming that, at least on the Daily Mail here, that they've just discovered Noah's Ark. Yeah, but Ron did that 40 years ago. Where you been? So, yeah. New York Post wants you to know how to safely get possessed by demons this Halloween. So here it is. How to use a Ouija board, your guide to communing with the dead safely this Halloween. So if you want to know how to do that safely, I'm sorry. No, I just think that's so ridiculous. But it's probably true. I mean, people obviously are wanting to do this kind of stuff. So, not good. But it's there apparently if you're a New York Post subscriber. So, and we'll come back to Matthew Perry here in a minute. We've got some other stuff to look at. I did see this and thought it was kind of close to what's going on. This is what they have for Israel's border, and this is what they have for the U.S. border. And I wish it were that good, actually. That's not even true. The guy on the horse, he's been dismounted from the horse a long time ago. They literally have the gates welded open, so they can't be closed, and people are just streaming in across the border. There's not any guys on horses, as far as I can tell. Or if there is, they're just sitting there on the horse watching them walk by, at best. So, but it is pretty good juxtaposition here, Israel's border and U.S. border. Because the only borders that Biden cares about is, well, now Israel's border, and he certainly cares about Ukraine's border, not the U.S. border, as we all know. Speaking of which, dailyreckoning.com, March 9th, 2022. Where were you when Biden signed the death warrant on American freedom? You guys know about this? On that day, in a hushed ceremony at the White House, without the approval of Congress, the states, or the American people, Biden signed into law Executive Order 14067. So do a search for it. Executive Order 14067. Buried in his order are a few paragraphs titled Section 4. The language in Section 4 makes Order 14067 the most treacherous act by a sitting president in the history of our republic. That's because Section 4 sets the stage for legal government surveillance of all U.S. citizens, total control over your bank accounts and purchases, and the ability to silence all dissenting voices for good. In this new war on freedom, they aren't coming for your guns. No, they're thinking much bigger than that. They're coming for your money. And we all know this. That's why they want to bring in the Mark of the Beast, one world currency, right? It's already started. These efforts are stepping up and taking on a nefarious tone that also involves surveillance and the loss of our freedoms under the guise of central bank digital currencies, or Biden bucks, as I call them. If you had asked me about this 2 years ago, I would have said the U.S. is taking a rather studious approach to it. It was too important to not be involved in, but the U.S. did not seem to be in a hurry to actually implement it. There were the studies. I would have said my estimate at the time would have been, okay, China has it, Europe maybe another year, and U.S. maybe 3 or 4 years down the road, because the dollar's too important. They don't want to race into it. They want to get it right. There are lots of ways to mess it up, but that's changed under Joe Biden. Biden has now fast-tracked this thing. We've moved pretty quickly from what I would call a research phase to an implementation phase. So I gave it the name Biden Bucks because Joe Biden will prove to have been responsible for actually implementing this at a very quick tempo in the U.S. And then it talks about not cryptocurrencies, that it's CBDCs and so forth. So there's more here. Private banks are also pushing CBDCs. So yeah, dailyreckoning.com is where that is. And again, we'll link to this article and all the others in my Substack post that will go out tomorrow. Probably tomorrow afternoon, later in the afternoon at some point. I have to wait on the links of this show tonight. So I have to be able to generate the new links for that and put it all in the same email. Obviously, if I send too many emails, everybody gets mad at me and then they start unsubscribing. So I try and do it all in one email. So that's why I don't usually send the links email until later in the afternoon on Monday. So if you're on the list, just watch for that. Video, Netanyahu invokes biblical prophecy as Israel launches invasion of Gaza. He has to justify it some way, doesn't it? Doesn't he? And if he does that, then of course he'll have all of the evangelicals and their money behind him. We're truly living through historic times. AJ details how Israeli Prime Minister believes he's fulfilling a religious prophecy in his war with Hamas. Yeah, well, he's not. He is, but he's not. Okay, so that's on News Wars. Gateway Pundit documentary implicates Schwab, Gates, the WHO, the UN, and other globalist entities in massive crime of democide. You think? There's the World Economic Forum with its 666 logo. The world must cut off the head of the snake or devolve into a dark age of tyrannical global government. So this is an article by Leo Hohmann, which we mention him pretty often on this show. I think he does some really, really good work. You guys know about this guy, most likely. Jamal Bowman says he struck a deal with Democrat D.C. Attorney General to have fire alarm charges expunged from his record. Do you think a Republican could do that same thing? Or would the Republican, if they did it, already be serving time in prison? That's what I think. But no, it's okay if a Democrat does it. Insurrectionist Jamal Bowman was caught on camera pulling the fire alarm in the Cannon building after Democrats unsuccessfully tried to adjourn the House of Representatives and go home hours before a government shutdown late last month. Bowman tore down emergency exit signs before he pulled the fire alarm in an effort to obstruct a crucial vote. New footage, Democrat Rep. Jamal Bowman removes warning signs before pulling the fire alarm in a House office building last month. And yet he lied and claimed that he just thought it was the button that you press to open the door. He thinks we're that stupid. But no, there's video footage of him actually removing the signs, if you don't believe me. Here it is here. There's the signs. He removed them. Anyways, what can you do? Democrats can do anything and everything they want. New footage released showing Rep. Bowman removing signs, not checking the door before pulling fire alarm and obstructing a House vote, but it's okay if he does it. He's on the right side, you see. Speaking of being on the wrong side, InfoWars host Owen Schroyer's last words before he turns himself into prison for supposed free speech crimes. So there he is. And we've talked quite a bit about Mr. Schroyer here before. I like Owen. I think he does a really incredible job on InfoWars. And they are literally putting him in jail and apparently solitary confinement for his speech. So if you guys don't know about that, there's what the room looks like. I don't know if this is the same exact room or not, but this has info here on how you can support him if you're so inclined, or at least find out some more information about what's going on with his case and how that happened. There's some video embedded there, so it definitely explains what's happening with the whole situation. So Canada's Trudeau, the latest leader to backtrack and delay on climate alarmist policies, rolls back home heating oil carbon tax for 3 years. Trudeau guts his signature policy to protect citizens from financial hardships that he imposed on them with this very policy. Then it talks about how Rishi Sunak has also done similar things. Outrage ensued, as you would expect, but the trend now seems to be catching on. Now it's Trudeau, who just announced a 3-year carbon tax exemption for home heating oil, also, and higher carbon tax rebates for people in rural areas. So I don't know if that's good news or if he's just caving on something that's super unpopular. But yeah, pretty interesting. So old Trudeau is at it again. All right, and speaking of crazy quote-unquote leaders, this is Governor Newsom. This is pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys know, he's over in China at the moment. And I'll play this. This is so bizarre, I have to play it. See what you guys think. You probably haven't seen this before.
I got
you. Very awkward, very strange. You get the idea. But yeah, Governor Newsom hamming it up in China, apparently. He's showing him how to play basketball, I guess, California style or something. What's going on with that? Very, very strange. Anyways, I found that and thought you guys would want to see it. Health officials in Arizona have ruled out a so-called brain-eating amoeba in the case of a recent illness. The Arizona Department of Health Services said samples were sent CDC Tuesday to confirm that the case was caused by the Naegleria fowleria amoeba. The next day, however, the testing came back negative. So they were reporting that that's what it was, and then it turned out that wasn't the case. Arizona Department of Health Services confirmed on Wednesday that a person feared to have a brain-eating amoeba in Mojave County doesn't have it. No, they were probably just naturally that dumb, I'm guessing. So, I don't know. So, yeah, apparently I guess that's good news. But it does go on to talk about this particular amoeba. Travels up the nose to the brain where it destroys the brain tissue and causes a devastating infection. So, wow. Satanic Temple loses lawsuit challenging Indiana abortion ban. Satanic Temple has lost its lawsuit against Indiana that challenged the state's abortion ban. The organization claims that bans violate their members' right to religious freedom of performing abortion rituals. The Indiana lawsuit was filed in September of 2022, claiming that the state's near-total ban violates the U.S. Constitution and the state's Religious Freedom Restoration Act. Isn't that nice? So they plead religious freedom when it suits their baby-killing, ritualistic tendencies. Wow. According to a report from the Indy Star, Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita called the lawsuit ridiculous. In a statement Thursday, he said the win sustains a pro-life law that is constitutionally and legally sound. We Hoosiers continue to build a solid culture of life, whether satanic cultists like it or not, he said. So good for them. So they did something right there. That's good news. Of course, they'll just come back for more. They always do. Try it again. Female martial artists refused to compete in Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournament after being forced to fight men claiming to be women. Female martial artists are refusing to compete in a Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournament because men who claim to be transgender women have completely overtaken the women's categories of the North American Grappling Association, or NAGA. NAGA is the largest submission grappling association in the world and hosts tournaments for several types of martial arts. Since the association was formed in 1995, there's always been separate categories for women and men until recently, because we're all woke now, right? Well, they are anyway. According to a report on women refusing to compete, Redux noted that Carissa Griffith, a biological male, took home 4 gold medals in the women's category during the tournament in Georgia on October 21. So, isn't that nice? Isn't that lovely? So, yeah. I mean, you can guess what's happening here. The interesting about this particular picture is that I don't know why Keith Richards is in it. I guess he's pretending to be a woman. I don't know. And if you have any doubts that that's Keith Richards, there's Keith Richards. So there's that guy. There's that guy. That guy. That guy. I think it's the same guy. I don't know why he's, involved in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at this point, but apparently he is. He must be bored with the Rolling Stones. Ben Bergquam shows the destructive policies of Biden's open borders in New York City. This is coming to every city in America. This is a video. If you want to watch it, it's embedded here. Real America's Voice reporter Ben Bergquam was in New York City showing viewers firsthand the consequences of open borders. He was talking about the costs of housing illegal aliens within the city. Says he was in Times Square and was talking about the Row Hotel, 1,400 rooms now being used to house illegals. It used to be a hotel for people that were coming in, for tourists that were coming in. Now, try and get a room in Midtown Manhattan, you can't do it. Or you're going to get it, but it's $500 a night because we are using them to house illegals. Ben also showed a bunch of parked scooters that were used and stolen by illegals. New York is spending $9.8 million a day. The contract on this hotel for 6 months is $43 million to house illegals. He said the total for 3 years will be $12 billion housing illegals. Wow. Anyway, it goes on from there. There's more information here. And the link to the video here is it's a Twitter video. So, yeah, it's certainly there on Gateway Pundit if you want to check that out. Engineering the Sky. I saw this and thought, that's interesting. The Great Climate Change Lie. I have not seen the video. It's apparently a new film that just came out. An article entitled "The Stratospheric Gamble," published in Scientific American on October 1st, describes the ongoing discussion and testing of the idea of shooting small particles of various chemicals into the stratosphere to reflect solar radiation in the hopes of cooling the Earth to combat global warming. It's just an idea. They're just toying around with the idea. They might do it someday, maybe. Years and years and years from now. Yeah, right. No, it's happening right now, and it has been happening for decades. So this, though, is talking about exposing the Great Climate Change Lie, and there's more to it here, obviously. There's quite a bit of explanation as to what geoengineering they're talking about and how they always couch it in this, we might have to do this someday if we get desperate enough kind of thing. But of course, they've been doing it for decades, as we all know. It's called geoengineering. And if you doubt it, the best thing you could do is go to geoengineeringwatch.org and click on the center column there, and you'll find a link to the Dimming full-length climate engineering documentary. And it's very well done. And this will help answer any questions you may have. And definitely share it with your friends and family, because it's amazing what they're doing in the skies right above our heads and how we're breathing it all in. But yeah, the Dimming is a really, really good response, really good answer to what they're talking about here, engineering the sky, the Great Climate Change Lie, which they are changing the climate. It's real. It's called climate changed with a D. That's what I call it, climate changed, because it's being changed on purpose. So anyway, there are more details here on this particular article if you want to pull it up. Okay, notthebee.com. I thought this was kind of funny. I know you guys will be rolling your eyes, but it's okay. I think it's worth watching this just to get an idea as to how bad the, millennials really think that they have it. This is how bad they really think they have it. So let's watch this short video, and you'll get a really good idea when you hear her talk about how terrible life is. So here we go.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, but this is my first job, like my first 9-to-5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me forever to get there. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, duh! If I was able to walk to work, and it'd be fine, but I'm not. So it literally takes me, I leave here, I get on the train at 7:30, and I don't get home till 6:15 earliest, and then I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. I don't have energy to work out. That's out the window. I'm so upset. Oh my God. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just the 9-to-5 schedule in general is crazy. Being in the office 9 to 5, if it was remote, you get off at 5 and you're home and everything's fine. But I'm not home. It takes me long to get home, and people that drive to the office, you don't get off at 5. And I know it could be worse. I know I could be working longer, but I literally get off, it's pitch black, I don't have energy. How do you have friends? How do you have time to, meet, a guy. I don't know. Like, how do you have time for, like, dating? Like, I don't have time for anything, and I'm, like, so stressed out. And I'm also getting my period, so that's why I'm all emotional. But, like, am I so dramatic? It's fine.
Yes, you are so dramatic. And it's not fine. This is our future, right? No, of course not, but she is being very dramatic. This is how bad she thinks she has it. So here's what the article says. I can hear it now. The boomers are already lined up to call me soft or whatever, but I don't care. I think we're too hard on kids today. And this is the person writing this article. In conservative circles, TikTok videos of young women in particular are floating around describing their lives in tragic terms. And then this is the video that we just watched. The theme of the critiques on these videos is something like this. Young women discover that real life is tough. What a snowflake. But I watched the video and I feel sympathy for this girl. This is, again, I don't, but this person writing this does. She bought the feminist lie that the most important thing for a woman is to go to college, get a job, move up the corporate ladder, and work full time. I'm sorry, I know it's controversial to say it, but many women, indeed most women, aren't wired for a 9-to-5 corporate life. So that's up to you guys, of course, but this is just what this article is saying. I'm just being the reporter here. Also, I'm not saying it's okay to go online and complain about your life. What I am saying is that there's something to these complaints. This is a young woman who, after buying the lie, realizes that she can't have it all. And she is realizing it sooner than many career women who put off family until they're in their 30s, and it's sometimes too late. And when we see young women like this, what solution do conservatives offer? Toughen up, Buttercup. Welcome to the real world. What about an actual conservative solution, like, I don't know, creating family, dating, and community structures that protect women and allow them to flourish without having to embrace the 9-to-5 grind? Yes, well, they're called taxes, and we all have to pay them, and we're so busy paying our taxes that, of course, everybody in the family has to work at this point, even the kids. Of course, I'm somewhat joking, but not really. So, and then here's another video. I won't bother playing this, but this is a video of a young lady who is, I guess, 25 and still living at home, sponging off of the parents. So, anyway, kind of runs the gamut of different people in this article. I just thought it was kind of interesting. That's on notthebee.com, which always has some highly entertaining videos and things like that on it. So feel free to look at that if you want. Summit.news, we'll just look at a few of the headlines. This is Paul Joseph Watson's website. White House freezes gun exports in new attack on U.S. gun manufacturers. So I've got a video on this, actually. We should watch that before we go too far into the evening here. So let's do that. Let's watch this short video. It's called Biden to Run Gun Stores Out of Business. Yeah, well, you get the idea. Pretty interesting, huh? White House freezes gun exports in new attack on U.S. gun manufacturers. This is an article on Summit.news. In an announcement seemingly timed to minimize publicity, the U.S. Commerce Department late Friday declared a 90-day freeze in the approval of exports for most American-made firearms, along with the review of the department's support of the Shooting, Hunting, and Outdoor Trade, or SHOT, show. So, and then there's info here about the shooting in Maine. Netanyahu declaring invasion. You must remember what Amalek has done to you, says our Holy Bible. So there he is, evoking the scriptures to support his case of genocide. Anyway, lots of other articles here on Summit.news if you want to have a look. InfoWars, Israel warns world to prepare for long war as U.S. begins large military shipments to Middle East. So we'll look at the headlines on vaccine impact. And we've got one video actually connected to this, so let me read the headlines first. Is the Israeli-Palestinian war really a religious war or a war to control petroleum and gas in the Middle East? So yeah, there's quite a few headlines over here on vaccineimpact.com. Geoengineeringwatch.org, the latest global alert news broadcast, show number 429 from yesterday, October 28th. From engineered weather to engineered insects, we are now paying the price for interfering with nature, CDC warns tropical flesh-eating parasite is now endemic in Texas. And genetically modified sandflies, the source, ? From CNN News, Hurricane Otis devastates Acapulco. From Fox News, this headline, Acapulco has been destroyed. Scientific American is telling us that the catastrophic Cat 5 hurricane that inflicted mass destruction to Acapulco came out of nowhere. But is that the truth? The so-called climate science community apparently doesn't have any clue about how this could happen. They never do. What was predicted to be only a tropical storm suddenly became a devastating Category 5 hurricane that delivered a direct hit on Acapulco. The self-declared ignorance from the so-called experts also applies to their ongoing denial of these shockingly obvious climate engineering operations taking place in our skies. For the record, the U.S. military has been developing technology to manipulate hurricanes for over 76 years, starting with Project Cirrus in 1947, and later Project Storm Fury in 1962. Welcome to the world of weather and biological warfare. Latest installment of Global Alert News is below. And just like last week, if you guys were here, you know I gave you a secret little backstory here. And that is, and it also applies for this week, if you listen to the show embedded here on the page, you are only getting a chunk of the story. There's a longer version of this broadcast on Dane's Rumble channel and BitChute channel. So look him up on Rumble and BitChute and listen to the broadcast there if you want to get the additional information that we could not include in the show that's on YouTube. So the YouTube version is about just under 52 minutes total. And the version that's on Rumble and BitChute, if I remember right, is about 63 minutes. So it's, I would say, a good 10 minutes longer. So additional info, and he included a really interesting talk from a former Israeli military person, and he didn't feel like he could include it on the YouTube version. So anyway, have a listen to Dane's Global Alert News if you haven't already. And if you already did hear it, if you listen to this YouTube version, you could probably just listen to the first 10 minutes or so of the Rumble and BitChute version of this show if you want to. But it's the October 28th, number 429 show. So, yeah, just a little insider scoop there. Thought you might want to know about that. And we don't normally do that, but the last 2 weeks he's had a couple of Israeli and Gaza stories that he didn't really feel like he could include in the YouTube version because he doesn't want to get any strikes on his channel, obviously. So, you know, we clipped that out for the YouTube version, but then it's included in the full version that's up on BitChute and Rumble. So feel free to look at that if you want to. Let's see. I want to show you guys this. This is courtesy of my friend Mushi, who is on Facebook. I don't know if she's here tonight. But I thought this was really interesting. You guys ever seen this? The four horsemen of the apocalypse, and their color is the exact colors of the flags of the nations which the Bible prophesied that will be united and led by the Antichrist. Which, as you guys know, if you've been on this channel for very long or followed along in my broadcasts, we have, pretty much stuck to what Tim Cohen's book says, going back to the 1990s, and that is that the Antichrist will be, he's not fully the Antichrist yet, but the Antichrist will be King Charles. King Charles is the guy. His name, Charles, Prince of Wales, adds up to 666, in not only English but also in Hebrew, both. And there are many other reasons that Tim Cohen talks about that Charles is the guy, even though he's not the Antichrist quite yet. He has been enthroned, you'll notice, right? Happened on May 6, 2023. You add up all those numbers, 562023, and you get 18, which is also 666. Well, is it a coincidence that the colors of the horses on all, well, in the Bible are also the same exact colors on all of these flags. Anyway, again, thanks to my friend Mushi who sent this to me on Facebook a few days ago. I thought it was pretty interesting. I didn't actually, cross-coordinate the flags and look these up and make sure that those are actually the real flags. I mean, it's possible that somebody could have just photoshopped in what they wanted. I don't know. I mean, I've seen a few of these flags before, and I can verify that I know at least a couple of them are right. But, if you want an additional little bit of homework, you could look that up yourself if you want. The Iraqi flag, the UAE flag, the Jordanian flag, and so on. And just verify that they're correct. But my hunch is that they probably are. And how is it that they're the same colors as the four horsemen? The colors of the horses in the book of Revelation. You got the white horse, the black horse, the red horse, and the pale horse, which is green. So, yeah, I'm sure it's a coincidence, right? Always is. All right, let's take a look at this. This is, I think maybe Verba Homefront or somebody earlier said that the latest Reese report, which would be this one, was a bit of a fail. And I don't totally disagree with that. I think that we can talk about why that's the case. He definitely goes with the preterist or preterist view, in that basically the book of Revelation is already played out. And I do not agree with that. I do not agree with that whatsoever. So let's watch this video. This is a Greg Reese report again. And it's like all of his videos, they're really well done. He does, seemingly at least, take a side here and says that he basically is expounding upon the preterist view that it's already all happened. And just for a little clarification, part of the reason the preterist view believes that is that they think that Nero was the Antichrist, because Nero adds up to 666 when you do a gematria or gematria calculation of his name. But I bet it doesn't add up to 666 in Hebrew and in English. I bet it doesn't. Anyways, let's take a look at this video and we'll talk about it when we return. All right. Yeah, so you get the idea there. The preterist view seems to be the thing that he's gravitating towards, although he doesn't actually say he is subscribing to that view. That's just the one that he went into the most depth on. And, I don't agree with that view at all. I mentioned to someone earlier that of all those views, obviously the futurist view would be the one that I would identify with the most. However, I think that there's a view that's not even listed. And that view, I guess I would probably call instead of a futurist view, it's a nowist view. I think I'm a nowist. How about you guys? I think we're living in the end times now, not in the future. Or maybe a currentist view. We are currently living in it. And it's not in the future. I think we are in it now. And I've made so many videos on why I think that. And that it started, as far as the final 7 years, as the book of Revelation and the scriptures talk about, the final 7 years began in September of 2021. September 2021. And Jesus returning in September of 2028. That, of course, is based on 2028end.com, which we've done many, many, many studies on, different versions of how things will lead up to that point. And that's what the timeline that I have put forth in my End Times Dates series, that's what it's based on. So for him to say that that believers are okay with seeing everything burn and because it fulfills Scripture, I don't think is right. I think it's more of an acceptance in that God's Word remains true, and there's nothing we can do to change that. It's simply God's Word, because He is the Alpha and the Omega. He's the beginning and the end. He sees it all. And it's not that we are anxious to see it all play out so that we can be right. It's because we believe that God's Word is 100% real, and the things that He says will happen does happen, that it will happen, and that it's happening now. So I think that he kind of gets it wrong a bit in that standpoint. And as far as what Greg's talking about, I would like to posit that I think that it's fairly easy to disprove the whole preterist view anyway. And I would, I've seen some people in chat talking about how it can't possibly be true, and I would agree with that. I think, though, that one way you could tell that it's not true is to simply look at the Revelation 12 sign and the fact that it's already happened, and that there's no other time in history leading up to that point, at least in the multiple thousands of years, and then from here on out, the next 1,000 years, it's not going to happen again, the Revelation 12 sign. And that occurred in 2017. And to back up what I'm saying, I actually made a video on that, so I thought I'd play just a clip of this. This is one of my End Times Dates videos. This is part 5 in my video series. There's 15 total parts, 2 of which were banned on YouTube, so you can't get parts, I think it's 6 and 7 on YouTube, but they are available on the other platforms like Rumble and so forth. But part 5 is what we're talking about here. It's called End Times Dates, Take It to the Lord in Prayer, part 5. Hilarion and Babylon Working, and the Revelation 12 sign. So this Revelation 12 sign is very interesting, and if you look at it from a preterist point of view, I think it's fairly easy to prove that the Revelation 12 sign only happens one time, and that is what John was referring to, and that just happened in 2017, not in 70 AD or before. So let's take a look at this. This video is, again, from the End Times Dates series. I originally uploaded this on August 31st, 2020. So this is quite a while ago at this point, over 3 years ago. So let's, I'll just stay on the screen and I'll play just a little bit of this, and let's listen to some of this that's been being presented of a very interesting video clip that I found. So here it is.
I think one of the things that's happening with the Great American Eclipse is that there's something following it.
On September 23rd of 2017, there is an alignment that is happening in the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the constellations, which looks like something that John wrote about in chapter 12 of the book of Revelation. In the first 2 verses, he's talking about the sun, the moon, the stars, the wandering stars, which we call planets, and a constellation, which is Virgo. John says that he sees a great sign in heaven, that there is a woman, she is clothed in the sun, with the moon under her feet, and she has a crown of 12 stars on her head. But she's also pregnant, but not just pregnant, she's in labor and about to give birth.
We know that Virgo would be the woman. The moon will actually be at her feet. The sun will traverse by her shoulder, clothing her in the sun. And in her head will be 12 stars. 9 of those will be the constellation of Leo. It makes up Leo. They're always there. But the 3 other ones that are not there are the syzygy, the alignment of planets. Mercury will align. We'll have Venus that's there, and also Mars, making up the 12 stars.
And we can see that the 12 constellations around the ecliptic only has one woman in it that the sun, the moon, and the wandering stars can travel through. And that would be Virgo.
A woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She was pregnant. Now how can a sign in heaven be pregnant? There's another planet that has right now been in what we would call the womb of Virgo for several months, and it will exit that womb due to what's called retrograde motion, which is going back and forth, on September 23rd.
What happened in November of 2016, the planet Jupiter moves into the birthing canal in the constellation of this woman, and it stays there for a period of close to 42 weeks, which is a human gestation period. And it doesn't exit until the sign is finished on September 23rd, 2017.
When we see this occurrence of Jupiter going into the womb of Virgo, that does happen every 11 years. It's not rare. We know the moon's at her feet once a year. So that's not rare. What we do see is very rare are these 3 planets lining up in Leo. As they come in, again, this makes this occurrence once every 7,000 years. That is extremely rare.
I actually took the time, I went back 6,000 years, and I took screenshots of every single time that the woman was clothed in the sun with the moon at her feet. Because again, that happens every year. But do you have her giving birth? And do you have 12 stars at her head? There's never been a day that the exact same thing that happens in 2017 has ever happened. I also went 1,000 years into the future. It's just not there. This is the year that it seems that John saw.
Right down the line, every single thing that's going to happen on September 23rd, factually, is mentioned in a book that's 2,000 years old.
So today, there is a prophetic fulfillment of what the Apostle John saw 2,000 years ago. Today, it's a once in a multi-millennial fulfillment. And we're talking, this doesn't happen ever. It's never happened. It's not ever scheduled to happen again that we even know of. It would be so far off. So Revelation 12:1, now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. Then being with child, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. So we have the constellation Virgo, and we have the constellation Leo. Virgo is the only woman that all the planets travel through to even fulfill this prophecy. And then above the constellation Virgo is the constellation Leo that has 9 stars. So normally, once a year, the sun will appear like on the shoulder of Virgo and the moon will be under her feet. That happens every year. Once a year it happens. Once every 11 years, Jupiter will even enter the womb of Virgo. And it's so amazing when you watch this video, what you're gonna see is that Jupiter comes into the womb of Virgo and then starts jogging back and forth while all the other planets are spinning around and going by. Jupiter just literally stops in the womb of Virgo and stays there 9 months. Jupiter is called the king planet. Represents King Jesus, amen? The king planet.
Well, again, you kind of get the idea, I think. And the one guy says it's never happened and won't happen again, at least looking forward to the next 1,000 years, according to his software program. And the other guy said that it happens maybe every 7,000 years. So if that's the case, it's pretty easy to say that the preterist view is wrong, just based on this one thing. The signs in the heavens and the Revelation 12 sign. So I think that they do a pretty good job of explaining it there. And speaking of signs in the heaven, we just had another solar eclipse a couple weeks ago. So this one was only covering part of the U.S., Oregon, California, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, and Texas. I mentioned this on the broadcast right after this. But yeah, another solar eclipse just happened. So signs in the heavens. The annular solar eclipse occurred on October 14th this year. A solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes between Earth and the sun, thereby totally or partially obscuring the image of the sun for a viewer on Earth. So again, coincidence? Yeah, so I think the preterist view is absolutely wrong, but I just wanted to take a look at that and let you guys know about this this video clip and sort of revisit it, because it's from a few years ago now, as far as this particular End Times Dates video that I put together. So anyway, yeah. So I guess that was all of the articles and so forth that I've got. I've got another video or two if we have time for them, but we'll come back to that, and if possible. The other thing I wanted to mention is this is the End Times events, which we've talked about before, and I've not changed anything on this. This is where the event line, not based on dates, that I think this is kind of how things are going to unfold. And I do link to this in my Substack post if you guys want to take a look at it. We won't go into any more detail than that right now, just because I've spent quite a bit of time on it on other broadcasts. So we can talk about it more, though, if you guys want to. This is the Substack page, so feel free to drop your email in there if you're new to the channel, new to the show, and you'll get all of the show links, all the article links that I send out on Monday. So we'll do that, and just drop your email in there, and that'll allow us to stay in touch. If anything happens, at least we'll have email, and that seems to still be a pretty good way to communicate with people. So it's definitely a good way to stay in touch with me, and you can email me through this system as well, the Substack system. If you don't want to do any of that and you're still interested in the links, just go to this page, diamonddisc.substack.com, click No Thanks, and you'll get to where the articles are. So simply just look for any of the ones that have the words links after the title, and this was last week's links. The first links that you see on the top of the page here are the broadcast, like we're doing tonight, the live broadcast on BitChute, Rumble, Brighteon, Facebook, and ClickView. So I will tighten up the show and repost it tomorrow. That's what those links right there are. Here's the End Times Events layout, which is simply this page right here. So that's what this is. And then this is the merch shop. This is just a screenshot of some of the different products that I've got. If you want to support what I'm doing, thank you very much. I certainly do appreciate that. You guys can support me on Substack or buy a shirt or a hat or something like that. And that does help support me and the time that I've spent putting this show together. So thank you guys very much. You'll notice you didn't see very many commercials tonight. That's because this is a commercial-free broadcast. I fund it literally out of my pocket. So as far as the software and the time spent and everything comes right from me and then from you guys who chip in. So thank you guys for doing that in advance. And for you guys who are supporters all these last few months. This show, by the way, this show is coming up on, I think, November the 1st. Is 2 years, if I remember right. I think 2 years is coming up. I think I started this show November the 1st, 2021. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to go back and look. So I think we're reaching the 2-year anniversary of doing a live broadcast every single week with no commercials. Anyways, yeah. So let's take a look at your comments and questions and stuff before we wrap it up for the night. As far as the store goes, this is the store, diamonddisc.substack.com is the Substack, and then shop.thediamond.report is the other link there you'll see in the upper right corner. This is where you can go get a shirt or a hat or a mug or something like that if you want to. Totally up to you. No pressure, as we say. This is my Twitter page. If you guys want to follow along on Twitter, feel free to do that. It is linked on my Substack page. You can get there from there, or it's just The Diamond, RPRT, The Diamond Report, on Twitter, or X, as we say. And then here is the Take It to the Lord in Prayer End Times Dates on YouTube, and then Diamond Disc on Rumble, and also BitChute and Brighteon. There's all the different channels, and then there's ClickView as well. And then here's my music site. This is my 9-to-5 gig. As the little girl, the young lady earlier that was complaining about the 9-to-5 gig. Well, mine's probably more of a 9 to 9 gig, 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. the next day. But this is my music company. This is where I do my normal my office type work. I have a studio and office and stuff like that. So I do mastering and mixing for music artists, different bands, pretty much all independent artists at this point, although I have worked with majors over the years, major labels and major artists. And if you're interested in knowing more about whom I've worked with and things that I've worked on, feel free to look at the About page on this site, which is DougDiamond.com, or you can just go to DiamondDiscAudio.com, which is my company name. So that is my business. Started it in 1996. Many hundreds of happy customers and only one or two not happy customers. So we've done a lot of really incredible projects over the years, and lots of things I'm really happy to have my name associated with, and a few things that I'm not too happy that my name is associated with as well. So it's just the way it goes. No, I'm just joking. But some really cool music projects over the years. So feel free to look at that guy if you guys want to. And let's go back to your questions and comments and see if I'm missing anything as far as what you guys have been saying. My guess is I've probably missed a lot of comments. So Melinda is here, or at least was here earlier, found me through Mr. Patch. So, yeah, thank you. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, Anthony happened to mention the Diamond Report on one of his broadcasts, so I got a few new subscribers from that. So thank you guys who have found me via Anthony and his broadcast. Thank you very much. Yeah. And by the way, he mentioned my broadcast because I'm going to do a video. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to do a video probably this week that will be kind of interesting. It won't be a live video. It'll just be an upload. And what I found out was with YouTube, what they're doing now is if you have a strike, so you have a YouTube channel, you get a warning first, and then you get various strikes for different things you say that they don't like. They give your channel a strike and they punish you, right? I've been punished many, many times. Let's just say that. But the first thing you get is a warning, and if you get another thing that happens that they don't like, then that's when they give you the strikes. So the warning though never goes away until now. And what they're doing is they're giving you a chance to be re-educated in their YouTube re-education camp. So I thought it was really funny. I actually stepped through it and have that underway on my End Times Dates channel. So I'm hoping I can, make it long enough on YouTube that I think it drops off at sometime in January, that my initial warning that I've had for probably 2 full years, that warning will actually drop off because I've been re-educated now. I know what not to do, what not to say on YouTube. So that is why Anthony mentioned, I had a conversation with him and just mentioned this whole YouTube re-education camp. And he thought that was kind of funny, so he mentioned my channel on one of his broadcasts. So that's what that's about. So watch for that video. I'm hoping to do that this week. It will just depend on my schedule, which is kind of crazy sometimes. So, but I'll try and fit it in if possible. I don't think it'll take me that long to do it. But I want you to be able to see what it's like to go through the re-education process. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. We got lots of hellos here from all kinds of folks. So I'm looking for questions. Made it for Doug's live show. Yep. OMG, I love this guy. Bravo, Doug, for starting us out with this guy who's saying exactly what Pastor Chuck Baldwin has been preaching. Yeah, SBG. Yes, you're right. You're welcome. And I thought that that video that we started with tonight was really good. If you missed it, go back and watch. Although you'll have to watch it tomorrow because I'm about to delete this video as soon as we're done tonight. But yeah, definitely watch that full video. It's called The Mystery of Israel Solved. And you can get to it by going to stopworldcontrol.com. Stopworldcontrol.com. And you can go to the site and you can watch it here on the site, or you can download it and share it with other people. You can upload it to your own channels if you want to. I wouldn't really recommend uploading it directly to YouTube, but you could pretty much put it anywhere else. BitChute, Brighteon, Rumble, places like that. So if you haven't seen it all, definitely watch it though. It's worth it. I've heard truth about Schofield and Darby before. It's interesting that more people appear to be learning about it. Yeah. And he didn't even mention the first stuff that I heard about Darby in particular was the whole pre-trib rapture idea. Came from that same era, that same period of time where they were trying to make sure Christians didn't do anything. When the end times rolls around, they think they're going to get zapped out of here. And that's pretty much defines what you see in the evangelical church at this point. They all think they're going to get zapped out of here. So the pre-trib rapture is very effective in fooling people and tricking them into thinking that they're not going to have to be around to witness the end times days, the end times events. So therefore, because they're still here and haven't been raptured out of here and zapped away, that they won't have to go through it all, and therefore they're not in the end times yet. We can't possibly be in the end times because I'm still here. You see how that works? So that whole pre-tribulation rapture lie was also thunk up. They also thought about this and brought this out with the whole Schofield Bible, and Darby in particular was involved in that. He was one of the first people to start talking about pre-trib rapture. And of course, that is tickling people's ears, is it not? And let's see here. Okay, Amy is here from Patch Airlines. Well, welcome. I'm glad you are here. Very cool. And then Emily is here. Hello. Yeah, lots of folks from the Patch crew. Check out The Great Impersonation, a book by Pastor Eli James for more detailed information of who are the real Jews, Marty says. Okay, good to know. Yeah, and I've played some videos. There's some really good ones out there on how, they're the Ashkenazi Jews and so forth and so on. And I've played different videos on that in the last couple weeks. So good to see you here. I always watch but never do messages on band to just soak it in, Amy says. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're here. And let's see here. It reminds me of Maui, Joyce says. So something that we were talking about. Talking about Maui. Yep. I know. Maui seems to have totally been dropped, huh? Total ashes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. As far as Gaza. Yep. I agree. I'm on God's side, too. The senseless murder of any innocent people is awful. Yep. Everybody on that note, apparently Bibi is blaming the IDF generals for not letting him know. That's why it took 7 or 8 hours to respond to the massacre. Something is fishy. Yeah, I mean, it was a total stand down. So, I mean, whether or not he knew, I have no idea. But it was a total stand down to, on somebody's order. Somebody gave that order. So I don't know who did it. If it wasn't Bibi, then somebody certainly did. Somebody in the IDF or whatever in the Israeli government. There was an order to stand down. It's just like Dick Cheney and 9/11, right? Did Bush know? I have no idea. Bush probably did know to some degree, but he was really stupid, and still is. And Cheney was running the show, so maybe it's a similar type situation. I don't think Netanyahu's stupid. I don't mean to say that. I'm just saying maybe he didn't know. I don't know. I do think he's a criminal, though, just like all the rest of them. Great work on Patch Airlines also. Thank you. Sky of Mark of the Beast and children really makes me righteously angry to the max. Yep. I know, I agree. My daughter's pediatrician kicked us to the curb, too, after I refused further sneeze after she had already been injured. Yeah, we've had the same issue. Luckily, no injuries, but we had the same kick to the curb situation in our case, too. Yeah, God gave me a dream in 2014 about Sky, but I knew when it came it was the Mark of the Beast. Pray for that dream. Yeah, I think it was absolutely the Mark of the Beast tech. I think Anthony has more than proved that over dozens and dozens of broadcasts at this point. Let's see here. Everybody's been thinking they are doing some IFUC activations or commands for the uprise in shootings and stabbings. This guy heard voices. Yeah, I remember that it was said that he heard voices, which sounds a lot like voice-to-skull technology, which is something that I personally have experienced. And it is not pleasant, although I could see where, if you weren't in your right mind, you probably, if it was something that kept happening, it probably would drive you crazy. In my case, it came to me as a dream, not really while I was conscious and walking around. It wasn't voices in my head that way. And we've talked about that at length before, so I won't go back into that right now. But if you're interested in what I'm talking about, voice-to-skull technology, I covered that a couple weeks ago on this show. We talked about it at length in my particular experience. They probably killed him as a super soldier. Yeah, it's pretty handy that they have the lone gunman again, and he's found dead all by himself. 2 bullets in the head, but he shot himself. Whatever. Mass shooter pics do look totally different. Ever notice how every year at a certain time it's suddenly mass shooting time again? Yeah, it does seem that way. Yep. There's the dude looks like a lady. Yeah, that was from the video that I played, and that's funny. Name that band. Dude looks like a lady. I'm in Canada, and we do not like him. Most never voted for him, but he still gets in, Don says. Talking about Trudeau. Yep. Oh, Doug, you're funny. Oh, I don't mean to be. It's not intentional. No, I'm just joking. I try to be funny, but it doesn't always work out. Doug, did you see the latest about MAID, medical assistance in dying this week, from our PM? Ugh. They want drug addicts now to die, saying they should no longer live and are elderly and mental illness. Yeah, I've heard that. Yep. That they want to kill off pretty much everybody. don't know why. Well, they want to get rid of everybody. It's called depopulation. I guess that's why. Pope Francis is the puppet master for climate change. Green faith. Agenda 2030. I've kept track of the snake in a dress since 2014. Yeah, that is definitely what he is. Snake in a dress. Very well said. Yeah, I do think that the one world religion will be related to the climate and the green agenda. I mean, that's what King Charles is all about. He's been all about that for, what, a decade or more? A long time. Yeah, so I think that is what, once he is fully indwelled by the spirit of Satan, which I think will happen sometime between now and 2025. Again, looking at my timeline. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I guess I can show you. Here's the timeline. Sometime between now and 2025, I believe there will be an attempt on Charles's life. He will live through it. And because he lives through it, he will be indwelled by the spirit of Satan. At that time, he will become the Antichrist. Right now, he's just a goofball. No, he's not the Antichrist yet. I don't think. Although, who knows exactly, because we weren't there when he was doing his solitary oil anointings and stuff behind the curtain during the when he became king back in May. So I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to say. Maui and Acapulco, yep, very questionable. I didn't really, the Acapulco thing just sort of snuck up on everybody. I think it was a tropical storm, and then boom, it was a Category 5. The only way they have to do that, as far as I know, is by radiating it with EMF, with radio frequency can be used to enhance storms and make them bigger or break them up. And apparently they decided to make it bigger. So yeah. How about Nero coming through the portal? CERN opens to be Antichrist. I've not heard that one before. That's a new one. Nero coming through the portal that CERN opens. I do think CERN will be successful. I've got CERN here on my, right here. CERN opens the abyss, August 2024, which is less than a year away now. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I'm happy to be, it's behind me. You can't see it. Here, let me move it out of the way here. I'm happy to be wrong about this stuff, because it means, if I'm right, it means that it's probably the end for all of us. But the good news is there will be a millennial kingdom with Jesus Christ reigning right behind it. So again, not so bad. But yeah, if CERN is truly successful, I think that they won't be opening a portal. They will be destroying, this is what Anthony Patch talks about, that they will destroy it on purpose to cause the demons to be released from the bottomless pit, and therefore Abaddon, the destroyer. And I think that is what their main goal is to release those demons, and I would say probably fallen angels who are chained in the bottomless pit. And Abaddon, from what I understand, is the right-hand man of Lucifer, Satan, and he is the one who will be the one that kills the two witnesses. Not too long after that, they will be killed by Abaddon. Of course, they're resurrected 3 days later, and they ascend to heaven at that point. But it is interesting. I do think that CERN does have a role in this. I don't know that it's opening portals necessarily. So, but I mean, I could be wrong. Who knows? I mean, it's far-fetched enough. I guess it could be true that Nero returns. I don't know, but maybe not. I mean, maybe Nero's in hell. Maybe he's right there along with Hitler and some of the others. Whoever has chosen to be there by deciding to not choose Jesus. Revelation was written after 70 AD, so the preterist view makes no sense to me. Verba Homefront says. Yeah, I know. And when you add in things like the Revelation 12 sign having only really happened, at least what we can figure out with modern technology is that the Revelation 12 sign has only ever happened one time, and that was in 2017. Kind of tells me that that's probably not the true way of viewing things, the preterist view. Yeah, and then Kelly's talking about her other top contenders for Antichrist. King Charles is now top pick. Okay. Yeah, and I never thought when I first heard that, probably over a year ago now at this point, heard Tim Cohen speaking on Janie Duvall's channel about King Charles. But I mean, he has the coat of arms. He has the imagery that the Book of Revelation talks about, in addition to also Charles, Prince of Wales, adding up to 666 in Hebrew and in English. I mean, is that a coincidence? There's pretty much no chance that would ever happen. And then there's other aspects to it as well. That's just the few things that I can remember off the top of my head. But Tim Cohen does an incredible job of explaining the whole thing, much better than I can do. He literally wrote a book about it. So you can find that on Janie Duvall's channel on YouTube. And he has his own channel on there as well. I think it's Tim Cohen Author or Author Tim Cohen. I can't remember which. Cohen. But yeah, look him up and watch some of his videos. If you don't believe me about King Charles, I was not a believer right at first, because I if you guys watch the End Times Dates series, episode 10, there's a guy that I'm still watching closely. I feel like he's really an important person. Maybe the Jewish Messiah, the Moshiach, that they end up picking. Or maybe he's got some connection, working back through the World Economic Forum and goes back to King Charles and all this stuff. Maybe there's some sort of connection there as well. But I think that this rabbi is an important figure, and he was my number one vote for Antichrist until I realized that Tim Cohen and what he talks about with the imagery and the 666 and all this stuff really makes an awful lot of sense. So yeah, feel free to look at that if you guys want to. Thoroughly enjoying my awesome, super comfy Diamond Report sweatshirt. It's officially bone-chillingly cold in the desert wasteland of Vegas. Wow. Emily, I'm glad you got your sweatshirt and that you're liking it. That's good. Glad to hear that. I've got a couple of the T-shirts, and they are a good quality. And there's the mug that I bought, and I got a water bottle here as well. I just hit my speaker. Here's the End Times Dates water bottle. There it is. So yeah, they have really good products. It's ship on demand, print on demand type of situation. So these things don't exist until you place the order, and they're literally just printed at that point and shipped to you. And what I found out, at least if you're in the eastern part of the U.S., is that your products are shipped from somewhere in North Carolina. So they're made in the U.S., which is good news. And I don't know if you're out west, if it's still shipped from North Carolina or if it's from somewhere out west. Not sure. Probably depends on where you are, possibly. Susan says, your devotion is much appreciated, Doug. You deserve to be compensated for all your time and effort. No one wants to work for free. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Susan, for being a wonderful contributor. And she is very, very awesome supporter of everything that I've been putting out lately. And it's just been really, really great. So thank you, Susan, for that. I used to watch Patch, but can't find him now, Dawn says. Okay, I can help you with that. Go to anthonypatch.com, which is a website that I built for him, and you'll see across the top of the screen there's a link to his Subscribestar. They have gone completely private, meaning you have to subscribe. The minimum subscription is $10 a month, but well worth it, I think. You get access to pretty much everything at that point. The only thing you don't get for $10 a month is you don't get the magazine included. He puts out a monthly magazine, Entangled magazine. That's extra at that point. At $20 a month, the magazine is included. So I can tell you that much. But yeah, anthonypatch.com if you want to subscribe. Pretty easy to do. We've tried to make it as easy as possible, although people still complain about how complicated it is, which, I mean, I set the system up. I know it's not really that complicated, but the only reason it is the way it is because he's been banned from everywhere. The guy got banned from PayPal. I mean, what do you do? He got banned from Patreon. He got banned from YouTube. He got banned from PayPal. He got banned from Vimeo, all kinds of places. So it's really strange. Charles has the numbers, but as popular as a doorknob. Yep. William, I agree. I know he's a dork, but keep in mind that his personality will, if it's him, will completely change once he is completely indwelled by Satan. And I think that will change a lot. I think that'll change a lot. But of course, we'll see. I mean, maybe we're all wrong. Maybe it's not him. Maybe looking at the futurist view, maybe it's 100 years from now. But it sure seems like things are lining up right now. That's why I say I'm a nowist, not a futurist. Sam says, we are the temple. I totally agree. Yep. And that's what the first video that I played tonight was saying. We're the temple. Yep. There'll be no AC in a physical building, he says. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. It seems to me like the Jews who are not the real Jews, the people in Israel who are pretending to be Jews, really do want a third temple. I mean, they are raising money left and right. They've got all of the accoutrements that go in it already prepared. They really want their temple so they can restore the animal sacrifices and bring about the Moshiach, their Messiah, their earthly Messiah. Non-supernatural type of person, right? So, I don't know. It seems to me like they really want that, though. Thanks for your broadcast. Really liked it. I'm glad you did. And, yeah, lots of people saying thank you. You're welcome. Thanks, you guys, for being here. I guess that's all. I don't really see anything else here. 2 witnesses will be quite a sight to see, William says. Yep, I agree. I'm wondering if it could be Antichrist, meaning pre or before Christ. I think that the scriptures pretty much define that it really will be a person that will be indwelled by the spirit of Satan. It's not going to be artificial intelligence. It's not going to be, I think we're making it too complicated sometimes. And just like Judas Iscariot was indwelled with the spirit of Satan when he did what he did, I think the Antichrist will also have that same situation. So, okay, you guys. Yeah, Aerosmith. Amy got it right. So, you're right. Dude looks like a lady, and you were right about that one, too. So, thanks, you guys. I guess we can call it a night. It's kind of getting late here, so we'll wrap it up, and we'll do it again next week. I think there's a time change next week, if I remember right. Maybe Sunday next week. So, if we fall back, we will be an hour. It'll still be 10 o'clock, but it'll feel like 9 o'clock. So I guess that's good. So we'll plan on doing this again next Sunday. Again, if the war in Israel/Gaza kicks off and something major happens, which it definitely seems to be headed that way, I may do another broadcast in the midpoint of this week or something. We'll see. But otherwise, we'll plan to just do Sunday night at 10 p.m. Central Time. It seems to work out for most people pretty well. If you're on the East Coast, it's probably too late for you. And my apologies on that, but there's really not much I can do as far as that goes. It's really about my crazy schedule. And 10 p.m. on Sunday night seems to work pretty well for me. We've been doing it at this time for, I don't know, like a year or more at this point. It's been a while. So, yeah, thanks you guys for being here tonight. I guess we can wrap it up. And I think we did maybe go through most of the videos here. So I guess we can just call it a night. Hope you guys have a blessed week. And definitely stay in touch. You can reach me through Substack. You can reach me by leaving comments on any of the videos. Have had some really good comments lately, especially on Rumble and some other places. So, yeah, thanks you guys for hanging in there with me for this broadcast. And thanks to everybody over on Rumble. I didn't really check the chat on there, but you guys aren't really chatting too much. Yeah, we got a few people watching on Rumble, but nobody's chatting, so I guess that's fine. Thanks you guys for being here, and have a really blessed week. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions or comments or anything like that. Definitely get on the Substack list if you can, and we'll stay in touch that way. Otherwise, we'll see you guys again next week. Take care, you guys. Love you all. Talk to you soon.